All right, good morning. Welcome to the Finance Committee for 9/19/2023. Present are Councilman Clunt and Councilman Clay, appointed official City Attorney Paul Jensen, and Finance Officer Chandra Phillips. Today's agenda will hope to be 6 items. First item is a request from Tripp County. Item number 2 are accounts receivable. I believe that's going to be a operational policy. No? Okay. Liquor license transfer update, training dates, notice for bid, and a request for proposal. I'll turn this over to Chandra Phillips.
So we've done a lot of things with special assessments, so I'll try to explain this because there's been both sides that we've worked on. About a month ago, the county asked if the city would waive certain special assessments that were on properties that they had taken for taxes. And this committee and then the entire council did choose to waive those. Last night, we held a public hearing to add special assessments onto certain properties based on the fact of mowing assessments and things that were done in this previous year. With that, we had to send out notification to everyone that we were holding the public hearing last night, that they needed to pay by such and such date. 2 of those properties that were on the special hearing are actual properties that the county has taken for taxes. So you will see, first information you have in front of you is a letter from the county asking that the special assessments that are being added for the next tax year. First one is for parcel 4803-4607, and the second is for parcel 4826-0207. One for $708.44 and one for $1,112. They are asking if the city council would consider also removing those. You did already waive the back special assessments for those 2 properties. They're asking if you would waive the current special assessments for those properties as well. In my conversation with the auditor, they cannot put it out for public auction until I believe February of next year. They have to go through their processes that the state requires them, so their plan is to put it out for auction in February of next year.
So if we waive these from today forward, they're in charge of mowing, they're in charge?
Yes.
We're done going over there?
Correct, yep, and so there is an email back and forth between myself, the planning and zoning commissioner, because when I sent these to the county, I included the planning and zoning director on there as well. So they have been in communications. She is now notifying them if there's any violations, and so they are now taking care of those properties.
I'm fine with waiving them as long as our guys from immediately on don't go mowing over there.
I agree. I'd had a similar conversation with another councilman about that, about waiving these properties, and is the county gonna take care of them? They are.
According to the conversations that we've had, yes, they
Well,
intend to.
I guess if they don't.
If they
then the
don't,
county
we
gets
still
billed.
will.
Yeah, then we'll go take care of
Yeah,
it.
normal.
Right. Yep.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so send to full council for,
Yep.
okay. So the next one, accounts receivable. Mr. Clay, this is the
Yeah,
one that you and I
that's the
talked
one.
about.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Clay is recusing himself from this conversation due to his involvement in it. What this is there was an accident on 7/18/23 where a car ran into, I call it an electric pole.
A
telephone
utility pole?
It was a utility pole. And knocked the pole over, and then our city crews had to go in and repair that. For years and years and years, it has been that the department head has turned in, so you'll see this second page right here, this is what we receive from department head, we bill it out. There was confusion on it, however. It's my understanding that there was a conversation between the insurance agent and the public works director that nope, there won't be a bill for this. And then the Public Works Director was not informed that there was a bill for it, and the insurance agent received it and is now asking if we can remove this bill from our roll, or from our billing, due to wanting to, how do I say?
Being misinformed,
Being misinformed, yes.
and that doesn't apply. There's a policy on the books. And last night, what we did is one of the resolutions that was passed, Councilman, is that it talked about our billable rates. And one of the things it spells out also is no matter what, anytime the use of city assets, whether it's personnel or equipment, has to be billed out 100%. The appointed officials don't have the authority to waive that. Only full council has the ability, as a group of 6, to waive these fees. So the mere thought that an appointed official didn't understand that policy and said there would be no bill doesn't, in my opinion, and you can ask City Attorney Jensen, waive the finance department nor the electrical department from billing this out and giving that authority back to you appropriately.
But I will have to say that we don't have an appointed official that doesn't know that policy.
At times, we do, and at times, we don't. But I think it's clearly understood now from conversation and after last night that it's spelled out. It's going to get billed by the finance department. The only people that have the authority to waive anything that's been used of city assets, whether equipment or personnel, is you as a council. When you talk about this particular situation, it's an invoice for $4,334 that, according to administrative law, policies set by previous councils, has to be billed. Now it's up to you guys if we send it to full council. And that's what we're trying to spell out to all of our appointed officials and supervisors.
I think it's been spelled out quite well that we don't do that, but I guess.
Not that it would apply in this situation, but I do think it's important for everybody to understand the problem within the law that occurs if a city official does something like this, though, because he's putting the city in the position where somebody outside of the realm of our policies and procedures is relying upon a position that he's taking and assuring them of this, that, or the other thing, when in fact he doesn't have the authority to do it. If push came to shove in the court system, that person, if that was the person who would have been liable, and if he relied upon, that person might have an argument to win his case in court, even though the mayor is absolutely correct, as within the city, the only one that has the authority to write these things off is the entire body of the city council.
So the request is for full council to waive based off of information received from an appointed official. Now, another thing that policy did is it spelled out the process for it to be billed out. So if a department head repairs something, they also have to make sure that their appointed is notified that they are billing that out. And then the appointed has the ability to look through it, verify that, yep, 5 people worked on it for 2 hours. Yep, we did have to replace the entire pole. So it's more of a checks and balances. And then once signed off by both department head and appointed, then finance will make sure that it gets billed out.
I mean, did a car hit it? Did
Yes.
somebody run?
Yep, and there's a police report and everything filed with it, but due to, we want to keep it separate so that it's not based off of any one person, we didn't provide anything that personal information.
Well, I don't care who did. I was just
Yeah.
wondering if it was,
Yeah, a car hit it.
you know.
So part of the,
I guess has somebody talked to the appointed? Is it,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
we have both sides of the story?
Yes.
And that side of the story is what we just heard?
The only other thing that I heard from that was they felt that potentially that pole may have fallen over eventually anyways, because it did have
They
one
all
rotten
will
spot.
eventually.
I thought exactly.
And
So anyway, I haven't got a yes or no answer. Did the
Yes.
appointed say,
yeah,
admitted that he said you
Yes.
won't get a bill?
yes.
Then we're stuck with it.
Yes.
And we have to deal with the appointed.
And Shander is correct as far as what his thought process was, but the law says you take your victim in the condition where you find it when you smack it. Well, our victim was the pole.
It's like insurance policies are replacement value.
Yeah, if the pole had a crack in it that was gonna fall sooner than one without a crack, nobody can verify that one way or the other, and you take it as it is, you still broke the pole. So,
So for clarification purposes, any appointed official that does this that's an abuse of powers. Is that violating state law?
You are on camera.
certainly
just a
violating
minute.
policy, at least.
This is a hypothetical.
Yeah,
Very good.
yes, you are, correct.
I mean, I know a situation that a bad pole was reported. Said it was okay. About a month later, the wind blew it over and it cost the person, the homeowner, thousands of dollars because it ripped all the power and the meters off the side of their building.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Yep.
And it was reported.
So, Councilman Clint, are you saying yes, send it to council to be waived?
I think you have to if, I mean, I don't know, I mean, if they were, if that's what they were told.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think it should be paid for, but when a resident, or I don't know if a resident or if an insurance agent or who was told,
The insurance agent was told and therefore filed the claim without this information and closed out the claim, and then received this information once the claim was closed out.
I mean, I think the city council should be able to stand behind their own policy. I think it becomes a personnel issue. You know, I mean, we have to vote on these policies in expectation that they're followed, and if they're not followed, then I wish that we didn't have to just wash our hands with the policy and say, well, we're not gonna follow policy, we're gonna eat the bill. I think I'm just gonna go with the no recommendation, full council. I gotta think about that. This is a bad deal.
Okay? I'll wait till he comes in. Item number 3, liquor license transfer update. So you, as council last night, did set a public hearing to transfer a liquor license. I just wanted to give you a little more information on that. I received a written letter, which you have in front of you as well, from someone in the public stating that the license that a liquor license was registered, or the address a liquor license was registered, was no longer valid. After Mr. Jensen and I did some research, we found that to be true. We notified them that that liquor license establishment had 30 days to correct their action. Within 2 days of receiving that notification, they had a new address that does fit our standards for liquor licenses, and they are transferring it, so that public hearing will be held on October 2nd to transfer it to the new license. Do you guys have any questions on that?
Number one, what date was this letter received? It's not dated.
So I was not here the date it was received.
What was the date?
I believe it was Wednesday last week when I was out.
I think that sounds right. It's within a day of that. Yeah.
The handwritten letter, is that what
Yes.
you're asking?
Yes, sir.
What it was, I can look, I guess.
9/13/23.
Yes.
When was this application process started then?
They spoke with the planning and zoning director on Friday, the 15th then, to get make sure that the new address worked, and then asked for the transfer and filled out the information and paid the $150. The letter was mailed based off of what Mr. Jensen sent. We talked about the letter, we sent it back and forth, and it was certified mailed, and I did receive, obviously they received it because they have gone through the steps, but did receive a copy that they got that letter as well. Any other questions on that?
What's the new address?
304 West Second,
304.
across the street. Item number 4 is just a notification to you guys. We have our annual SDML training in Rapid City, October 3rd through the 6th. This is where we review legislation that's changed that may affect our jobs here at the city or may affect the city in and of itself, and review a lot of those. We learn a lot about the new GASB rules and different things like that. So I will be attending that. I'm not sure that I'll actually be there for the full week. It just depends. If there's a class that doesn't pertain to me and I can leave early, I will. I definitely don't go to classes that don't pertain to me. They aren't that entertaining, so. And then the next item, notice for bid, this is what went out in the newspaper. This is for the used dump truck. I did get asked the question, and Paul Jensen and I did go back and forth on this. It does state on the bid form, Freightliner, so it does have a specific, brand name on there.
And a model
SD
number.
Yep, so SDCL 518A-19, requirements for brand name or equal specifications. We reviewed that. Mr. Jensen did provide his note as well that feels that it would be okay as long as we have in there or equivalent. So it doesn't have to be, but it has to be equivalent to that due to the fleet that the city currently owns, so that there would be interchangeable parts. So just letting you guys know on that one.
Boy, I hope we can find something.
I think they will.
And then
Sounds
the
like
other
they already
one,
have one found.
the other one is a request for proposal for pest control for the city of Winter. So at this point in time, it's just a one-year proposal. We're not requesting more than 1 year at a time, and this is for, the main buildings would be the jail, the halfway house, the recycle center, the landfill, and then this building. All of them a little bit different. Obviously, the jail has residents there, so they have to have certain things. We have tenants here, and then recycle center and landfill is more of a rodent control versus a insect control. So that did get published this week, and we will open those on the 2nd as well. Technically, they're not sealed bids, they're requests for proposals, so they don't have to be sealed, and that's not a problem. And it was sent out to 3 companies, as well as the newspaper that had requested they be sent out to them, so.
So why don't we do sealed bids?
Don't need to.
Yeah. It doesn't meet the bid requirements. It's just more that we're trying to give everyone an
So-
equal opportunity.
I'd like to go back to the used dump truck bid. The last sentence talks about, and I want to make sure that we're doing this, if a brand name or equal specification is used in a solicitation, the solicitation shall contain explanatory language that the use of a brand is for the purpose of describing the standard of quality, performance, and characteristics desired, and is not intended to limit or restrict competition. Does this bid spec that, or when you advertise it, will it include this language?
The statute makes that distinction, but the way the state operates, the use of the word equivalent is self-explanatory, that in fact that is not a limiting, but just a descriptive. So the use of that word or equivalent is sufficient to put the bidder on notice that applies. And that's been the way that the state boards themselves a lot of times do it exactly the same way.
Same way.
They do. I've seen several where they just use the word or equivalent, and that's deemed to be self-explanatory.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, because I relied heavily on you for this bid spec. If we were to deny an or equivalent, then we would have to have very good explanation as to why we're denying.
As to why it's denying.
If it were lowest bid.
Correct, yes, yes.
Okay.
On the proposal, is it common to have $1 million liability?
Yes.
Seems high. Okay.
Yes.
How much does $1 million liability cost?
Liability's cheap.
It is.
How cheap?
It depends on the business, but liability's cheap. It sounds expensive. It's needed coverage, but it's cheapest part of insurance there is, liability. And it's the most needed, but it's cheap. Like a renter's policy for a house for a kid, cheap. Everybody should have one and very few do. It just falls through the cracks. I mean, it's cheap.
$1 million is our general, what we have. I've never seen us go lower than that. I have seen us go up to $2 million on some things, again, depending on
I
what it
think we
is.
increased it back about 10 years ago. It used to be at half a million on some of
Yep.
these things.
So even for use of our baseball fields, we require
Right.
$1 million liability
Right,
insurance.
that was brought up, yep.
This rodent control business, $1 million liability is probably $750 or less, I
Yes.
would guess,
A year?
a year.
$60.
The only thing that gets expensive is professional liability, like lawyers.
Trust me,
Doctors.
Errors and emissions insurance.
Yes,
Very expensive.
yep.
Only other thing I have is just to notify you guys. I guess, Austin, you've been through this before. I'm not sure when the last time you were on Finance Committee, Mr. Clay, but as they complete their audit before they leave, the head guy with our audit, Mr. Schoenfish, does want to sit down with Mayor and Finance Committee. Usually that's a Thursday. It may be sooner this time. He hasn't asked for a specific date or time yet, so I would say Wednesday, Thursday is what they'd be looking at
Of this week,
of this week.
I will not be here.
Okay. And it's not a requirement that you're there. It used to just be that they would sit down with the mayor or just the finance officer, and then we started including the finance committee in on there too.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be gone.
Yep. I'll ask him today when I see him. They'll get here around 9:30. I'll ask if he's got an idea to give you guys a little more heads up too.
I'll be back next week. I'm gonna be gone.
Would you like someone else to sit in, maybe the vice president in his place?
Sure.
Okay.
The vice president's here.
No, that's the
Oh,
president.
that's, okay, that's,
Joe.
he's president.
Oh, I could have those backwards, but,
No, you're correct.
okay.
If it's Thursday, it has to be in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has to.
I think mornings work better for most people anyways, so, yeah. Otherwise, insurance, we just went through our renewal, have all new insurance as of September 1st. That I believe was on your claims last night even. And admin building, not much going on in here. We are starting to get more requests for cards as winter's coming up, so that'll be something we see an influx on. Did learn I can't just buy the cards from anywhere. I have to buy them directly from Avigilon, which is the company that is the door system. So they are the more expensive cards, but
I was gonna ask you, Chandra, is there someplace besides in your office that has a record of when somebody has reserved the facility over here for use?
So I do try to post a calendar, like this is September. I'm gonna guess there's probably not a calendar hanging up there, but I do try to post a calendar up on the doors at the
Okay.
beginning of each month, what hours are reserved.
Okay,
Because now we're in the school year as well, so the school does have some practices in there, a couple afternoons. I'll make sure that those are up.
that would be good.
Yep.
I was just curious, there were some folks in there using it, last night, and I didn't know
Oh,
who they were. And I don't know, was that a school deal that late in the evening?
no,
Probably
school
not.
would be there, if the school's using it, it's over at 5:30. So my
That's-
guess is they had somebody with a card.
Somebody with a card, sure.
The other thing is, if somebody from the public does see that there's somebody there without an adult that looks like they're 14 under, they can call me, they can call the police department. They do not have, when you sign out a card, you sign off that you will not let anyone in there under a certain age without an adult present, and you are
14
responsible.
It's 14, isn't it? That's what I thought.
Yep.
Do our cards work for all doors?
Council member cards? Yes. They're supposed to. Yours works for both, doesn't it, Jody?
So like the gym.
I haven't tried, I always go through the back.
Yep, so if it works for that one, it
I know it
definitely
works for this one, but.
Yep. It
is
should
there
work for
one
door
on-
F.
Is there one on the main auditorium
No.
door?
The only two doors that have the card readers are this front door and
And
door
this one.
F, which is the handicap accessible door.
Yeah.
I will verify that all of council's works for both doors, but I believe that's how I set it up.
We just had the event coming up, that I've had to check out a key before.
Oh, yep.
So it worked for
That is something that we'll want to discuss. If you want the doors unlocked during that time, then I can actually set the doors to be unlocked, front door,
Oh.
that main entrance and the door F, rather than having to have a card to come through or prop it open. That would probably be beneficial, and we've done that for other events as well. So. And we can discuss that when you do your walkthrough before and after, or, well, before is when we discuss that, but.
Chandra, the only other thing I would ask is where's your financials for the admin building for the finance department so that these guys can review your performance?
My performance?
Yeah, it's called oversight of your budget.
Okay.
And everybody else provides those financials. And you need to provide those also so council can see those going forward, please. And that's not a dig, it's just something that they need to see on these two, the admin building and the finance office. Oversight. Yes, it is only 8:35.
I set the clock, I think it's holding.
Oh, thank you. I think it does for about a week and then it starts slowly going forward. It goes fast, right? Goes pretty-